think that this is long overdue and Nigeria is ripe to have a young person as president or as governor in his 30s?
Yeah, I believe so. But really, when you look around and you see the way the younger ones are behaving in government, you discover that it really is not so much about age. I agree very well that we should allow the younger generation to participate and we should encourage it. But at the end of the day, the important thing is to determine what is the track record and where is that person coming from and what is he likely to do. Because when you look around, like somebody said, the youngest governor that we have in this state today, I'm not so sure that when we begin to count 1, 2, 3, as in terms of the person that is actually serious at this job, I don't think it will come in the first 20. So that to me, so this thing is not so much, it's not particularly about age, as important as that is, because we are talking about future. Well, we are, the whole of this thing is about the next generation. So why don't you allow that generation to also partake in what is going to happen to them then? So I agree with that argument. But who is that person? Where is it coming from? What has it done before? What is it likely to do?
You observed that Nigerian youth, the government is not investing in young people, and that portends serious danger for the future of the country. You are running for the office of the governorship. What will you do differently to help the youth to take charge of the next generation?
Number one priority is human capital development. And that is about education, that is about training, that is about retraining, that is about, putting and the training in the right way that makes up with the current demand and the future demand, so that we can prepare these people, these younger ones. I think in that, at least there are 2 or 3 things there that is particularly targeted at the younger ones. One is the education, then there's also the job creation and the empowerment, and I think also somewhere, the one we have about good governance and all of it. So it's all to and reorientation, because again we also have to give the right orientation to some of these younger ones. Of course, we all know it. Our environment, our state, our country, the younger generation constitutes more than 2/3, or at least up to almost 2/3. And anything that we're doing that doesn't take good care of that will not be good enough. We have to create the right environment for investors to come so that employment can be generated. But we must also make our people employable. And the way to make them employable is also to look at the curriculum of the schools that we have now. Also put the right infrastructure in place. There are quite a number of times United Nations will talk about 26% allocation to education. So we intend to really look at that. Education in particular, the human capital development that we're talking about comprises both education and health. But we are particularly going to focus on education, both the normal and then the technical, the technical education, so that we can prepare our youth. We've lost a lot of ground in terms of value orientation in our society. As young as we are, or as old as we are, depending on who is looking at it, even when we are growing up, there are still quite a number of things that tell us your brain and your mind into what is good and what is not good for the society. We've lost a lot of that, and that is affecting us in a lot of spheres. So those are the areas we are looking at for the youth. And of course, the party that I'm also going to run on, which is African Democratic, which is actually African Democratic Congress, also particularly give a provision for women and youth. The formula is 30-30-30-10, 30 for the older generation, 30 for women, 30 for youth, and then 10% general. So in all that we do, and we try to reflect that both in building the party in terms of forming the ESCOs, and we also must also find a way to reflect that even in running government.
Do you think international hate, is it a cause or a blessing for Africa? Why do African countries depend so much on international hate to do anything?
Well, it's the world is becoming a village, and funds, aid, resources will flow all around the place. So, and Africa cannot be an exception. And once it is available, we also have to use it. The only thing is that I'm not so sure we should now put our plan, the whole of our development, all around it. Within us, there are still quite a lot of potentials that we have within the continent that we can still explore. We cannot stop funds from flowing in one form or the other. So if they have access to capital, or they've generated so much capital that can be used elsewhere, why not take it? But I wouldn't subscribe to the situation where we now build all our life and everything around it. not to talk about providing the rights.
It's so in our face. There's so much unemployment out there. Youths don't have what to do. They've gone into other vices, cybercrime, and all of that. So how do we address the issue?
Well, the major problem is that we keep on exporting wealth and importing poverty into this country. We have not developed our productive sector, production sector, sector enough. Therefore, we are not able to absorb our people. For every item that we import here, we are creating jobs elsewhere. We are creating wealth elsewhere, and there are quite a number of those that happen. Even in the area of even oil that we have, how many? I mean, still imagine the number of the quantum of petrol, gas that we need to import into this country, and that's an area where we have a very clear comparative advantage. In the area of agric, we can still produce a lot, but most of it are exported raw. We are still not able to turn them around. It is from that turning around in production, that's where we create employment. It has to do with so many things. It has to do with even some of our institutions, like some of our leaders have said. We're not necessarily looking at the right, at a strong man. We are looking at us having very strong institutions. These days, you can imagine what it is that interests. In those days, you look at someone, an engineer who has done well in engineering, who has done well in this field or that field, people are looking up to them. But these days, the way our people, our younger ones, what it is that interests them and what motivates them, what attracts them to the older generation, it's quite different. So even if encouraging those ones can take about 20-25% out of the unemployment market, at least you know that you have done that, and that one has to come by way of finding a way to provide them with resources, capital, and then the right environment so that they can do well. We have to do a lot of that, in addition to other things that government has to do.
So if and when you become the governor in 2019, what is going to be different? Because people believe that all political parties in Nigeria have no specific differences in their ideology.
Fact of the matter is that the road is a major problem around us. Education, the rate of education is quite horrible. And I think what makes the difference between party A or party B in our politics as it is today is actually the person. The person. What is in the brain of the person? What capacity does he have? And what kind of heart is he bringing to the government? Those are the things that make the difference. And it's love for the people. It's not really so much about, because like you said, they are all of the same thing in terms of what the people need. So it's really about the person, and that to me is actually the main thing I'm bringing to the table. It is the fact that I am from a private sector background. I've done whatever it had to do in order to get there. I was in government, Ogun State government, for about 7.5 years as MD of Gateway Holdings. That's the investment company of Ogun State. By virtue of that, I've had opportunity to market the state and look at the opportunities that we have as a state, and I've pushed that, and I'm able to do what we believe we are proud of, even at that. And then since 2011, I have been in government politics. I've been throughout to nooks and crannies of the state, and I know what it is and what we need to do in order for us to make life more abundant.
So your first year in office, what should the people expect?
Well, the first thing is that we have to be clearly define what our vision is, which is that we have to enhance, and then we have to prioritize in terms of what we need to do. That's really, no government can provide everything that needs to be done, but we have to make the first major impact in our education system, because that to me is the main thing. In the last count of the WAEC result that was released some 2 weeks ago, Ogun State was number 19. That's the second half, and we're talking of Ogun State of Awolowo and all of that. It's not too good. So Ogun State was number 19, and we need to really look at some of those things. So we must make a major impact in level education. Our roads, particularly into the intra-city roads, are quite bad. And we cannot be saying that we want to encourage agric or want to encourage rural dwelling, and yet we have our road the way we have them. So somehow the impact, even within the next days, the impact must be made in the way some of the way people live among our roads. We need to look at our cities that borders Lagos. Lagos is the commercial center of the country. It is projected that Lagos is going to double its population in about 30 years or thereabout. There's no place for Lagos to expand, because anywhere you want to expand to in Lagos, is either you go to the Atlantic or you come to Ogun State. So some of those cities around Lagos, we have to prepare for that in terms of making sure that we get the value of that. So we intend to also set up an agency that will look at those areas. There are about 7 of our local governments that actually borders Lagos in one form or the other, and that cut across the 3 central districts that we have. We also need to look at that. The way those places are now and the way population is flowing into those areas is not very good, and the infrastructure around those areas are practically broken down. We need to look at that, and then of course good governance and reorientation of our people. So we must make impact in some of those areas. Then we must also be able to give people the confidence, because the important thing here now is sincerity of purpose. The people must have a confidence that, look, we mean well in all that we do, in all our decisions. Governance, just like any leadership position, is about decision making. It's about, you are faced with a lot of options. What are those things that drive the options that you take? What are the things? What are those critical things? What do you look at? What determines what to take? And we must be able to put in the mind of the people that love for the people, both for the future and for now, are those things that will determine the decision I will take at any point in time.
Thank you very much. And we have come to the end of this edition of Allyxtalk with Mr. Gboyega Nasiru Isiaka, a governorship aspirant, where he will soon become a candidate, obviously, in Ogun State for the 2019 general election. Thank you very much.